Pass the and a few more straggling, but you can kick it off anytime you want, brother.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me today, Graham. Thank you for joining us, everybody. My name's Eean Evans. I am I'm co-founder of Agency Assassin. We started Agency Assassin in 2019. We had our first beta product out in 2020, which was a dangerous product to use, but it did work. So I've had an awesome opportunity just to work with hundreds of agencies on thousands and thousands of campaigns. And today my main goal is to hopefully show some context for what I'm seeing on maps in a way that's going to help people that are doing local SEO. And I can talk a little bit about some of my kind of philosophy on Google in general, like as a person whose entire life is dedicated to reverse engineering their work. Honestly, the Google leak was 0% surprise to me. I don't think I saw anything in there that surprised me, except maybe that some of the simplicity on how they process link authority. I thought it was a little bit more complex than what I saw in there. But besides that, it was pretty much what I was expecting. So honestly, do we have Q&A in here? No, so we'll just chat it. So while we're going, if people want to throw questions up, I'm happy to answer them. My plan is to go through, just a few things on kind of what's going on with Google and my perception about the direction they're going. And I've got some graphs where I can actually prove kind of what I'm talking about a little bit. And then going into what CTR and the history of how they've been protecting it and what's working right now. So as much value as I can possibly deliver. I don't know, Graham, if you give your blessing. I am in the end of my sales month, so I might make people an offer. If that's all right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Drop any deals you want, man. All good.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. This is your space, so I'm be very respectful about that. So when we get to the end of it, if anybody decides they want to sign up and try the software, I am you've got me by my toes because I've got 5 more hours to hit my goal. So use it to your advantage. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit is I'm just gonna talk about some history with Google and some of their algorithm changes and how it shows over time how they've been improving their machine learning. And so this is just kind of this is just things that I've discovered as I've worked. And so if you have different opinions or whatever else, feel free to chime in. I'm going to give you the best of my understanding of things. So prior to the September 2018 update, which was Hummingbird and Medic, for the most part, context from Google was super simple. It was like keywords on pages and link authority, and Google just gathered up keywords and they pointed links places, and that was most of what was causing rank. The first time that you saw that actually change was with the Medic update. And so with the Medic update, the way that they determine trust on your money, your life terms, they were saying, well, it's authority-based trust, or it's where they're starting to look at the subject matter. And so that was where they had knowledge graph working for the first time. And so what they were doing with knowledge graph at the time is they were just linking together simple entities, and they just wanted to see more of those connections. And they were basically saying, if you reached a certain threshold of those connections of entities on site, that was enough trust for you to be a trusted source. So basically what they were saying is, if a true doctor has a website and they talk about themselves as a doctor, and they talk about the schooling that they've had, and they talk about how they've learned how to do the services that they're offering, those services are probably legitimate medical services. And another site that has 1 million backlinks for some medical name, and it has none of the rest of it, they're saying that's not trustworthy. And so it was their attempt to use the context of what a branded person, what a person or what a set of authorities creates in connections on a site, and using that to determine trust on one of their higher cost. So one of their higher manual cost areas of business. So basically, if they get a wrong medical result or they get a wrong financial product, somebody's life is ruined. And so Google worked very, very hard on manual review. And so it was hugely costly to them. So the first place where they could take machine learning and have it be an improvement in their costs was to get rid of that manual review process, which makes a lot of sense. So it's like, so the first place they tested machine learning was there. And all that they were able to determine at the time was actually very, very simple. It was and at the time, actually, you really didn't get great results a lot of the time unless you use schema, because they weren't able to interpret the page information well enough to just scrape all the pages and find out, you know, what the content was on them and link those together super effectively, like they do now. They're much, much better at that now. Although they're swamped. We'll get to that. They're swamped with AI content. So that was the first time that you saw Google using entity relationships to determine trust metrics. And I'm talking about this because everything that you see with the way that Google is changing, everything that you see that's happening with us here right now has to do with how does Google take a set of criteria together and combine them into a trust factor. And the composite signal is trust. So Google sees trust as how well the set of factors link together. And so, you know, back in the day, you could just do links or you could just do CTR or whatever else. And they're leaning, everything they're doing is moving in the direction of using the composite to determine credibility and to limit authority signals that are very useful to Google, but that are easy to fake. So that was the first time that we saw that. The next big time that we saw entities beginning to be put front and center was the first time that they used entity signals for their general SERPs. And the time that they switched that on for everything was December 2020. And that was when you'd see like shitty Web 2.0 sites ranking above Yelp or medical doctors. And so what they did is they just used the links in between all these PBNs. What they're doing is they're using links between pages. And how many of those links between how many different topics. And they're using that clustering of those internal connections. And what they're trying to do is get rid of authority links like to a page, to where you're just like building links to a page, you're able to like rank above somebody or manipulate search results. So they were trying to use like the composite of topics in general and those internal links in order to determine content quality. And what you saw was horrible mass page sites killing it. They actually this was when they rolled back. It was one of the funniest rollbacks ever, because they only took about 2 weeks and they completely reverted it. And they started introducing it again over the course of the year in bits and pieces, but it was just an absolute trash fire. And so with all these changes, every time that Google goes through these changes, the way that I visualize it is basically you've got Google's corporate user experience officer, somebody who the only thing they care about is engagement and how quickly a user journey is completed. That is their only thing they care about. And they're at war with the person in charge of their data centers and their data costs and their ad sales. And those three groups are all fighting together. And what you'll see is when one of these big releases come out, it's for ad sales, or it's for some data cost piece, or some other product where they're trying to milk more money out of the results. But ultimately, their product quality is tied to that user experience. And so what you'll see is they'll do an experiment, and some of them will cost user experience, sometimes heavily. And historically, before Helpful Content Update 2022, they roll back any of those that damages user experience. The first time you see it not get rolled back and affirmatively damage the user experience was Helpful Content 2022, but I'll get to that in a second. So here you have Google getting better and better at recognizing information, better and better at understanding what's going on websites with machine learning. And now we're moving into December 2021 update. This is probably the most meaningfully, like really high quality change that Google did, because they could tell enough about context and related subject matter on sites. And they leaned really, really heavily into that. So that update is when they're trying to move away from link authority and trying to move towards site quality. So that's harder to manipulate. Now, what coincided with this change of theirs was GPT-3 came out. So Google's way of protecting their algorithm on December 2021 was dead by January 2022. So what immediately started to happen is people were able to produce like great content clusters. And this is when you see all the reverse silos and all these other things just killing it, doing really, really great, like awesome. And so this is what I was going to show you guys. So let me find my, I've got some reports here. I'm going to share a screen. Here, we're going to share this. So this is, we were trying to hack, knowledge graph here. And so this, what you see here, I mean, on the dates, maybe I'll just show this without showing. And here we go. I can avoid showing what I don't want to show. I'm going to change this. I'm just going to share the graph because I can. All right. So, so that update was December of 2021. And you know, I would say I was able to figure out what was going on pretty fast. We built on this site, we had 5 major search targets, and we built 100 blogs. And on those 100 blogs, we used LSI keywords to point up towards our pillar pages. So our pillar pages were, and a pillar page is like a high authority page that you're like sending links to or that your content is supporting. Pillar pages are directly attacked by helpful content depending on how you build them, or not pillar pages themselves, but sites with lots of orphan pages. And how you get an orphan page is you have a page with no content pointing towards it, but I'll get to that in a second. So this was, we had our pillar topics, which were SEO topics, and then we had these blogs that were supporting them. We built 100 of these blogs in between January 1st, and here we've got February 28th. And we were pointing those at either another blog or up to our pillar page. So it'd be like ways to optimize your Google business profile for local SEO, or you know, tips for local SEO for whatever. And all those would point up to our local SEO page. And then we take each one of those pages and we would build 2 news site articles. And then we would do 5 tiers of crappy Web 2.0 links using Bunny Robot and scraped content. And we would do about, what we would do would be about 100,000 links to every single one of those. So each one of those, so we had 200 blogs. Each one of them had 2 high authority links. Each one of those 2 pages, each of those 2 high authority links would have 5 campaigns run. It'd be 1 million blogs for each one of them. So basically 100 million Web 2.0s pointing to our 100, or actually 200 news articles pointed to our 100 blogs on the site, pointed up to our pillar pages. And what we were trying to do, because what my theory was, is that Google was getting rid of the authority on the page that you linked to, and instead they were taking the authority that page gathered from external links, and they were passing it through to other pages. And this is where knowledge graph comes in. The amount of authority they passed to the other page had to do with the knowledge graph associations between topics. So in other words, if you did a page on veterinary science and you're linking to a page on local SEO, and you put 1 million links about veterinary science into that page, and then you have an internal link going to the local SEO page, knowledge graph association between those 2 topics is 0, and you would get practically no authority or ranking going between those 2 pages, and it would not rank. But if those internal site links, if those topics are related, and if Google knows that those are related in their knowledge graph model, then they pass authority through internally. And so they were taking all the authority, and instead of passing it in directly to the page that it came to, they were passing the authority that page gathered onto other pages based upon their internal links. And so we were able to go, this is for Denver SEO terms. We went from 0 to 600 traffic over a course of like 10 days. We grabbed almost every SEO term overnight. This is from agencies that have been around for 20 years. We beat almost everybody. So my theory was, this is knowledge graph. Now, we had a pretty good run. What is that? March 2nd to that'd be September 12th. So if anybody remembers this day in September of 2022, this is a helpful content update. And so my theory, and this is like, and this is kind of the picture I'm trying to paint here is about what Google's defending and what they're trying to accomplish. So they tried to accomplish getting rid of link authority by using internal links through the knowledge graph. helpful content update was their answer to AI content attacks on knowledge graph, to large content clusters. So what they did is basically they found me. So I obviously I lost almost all my traffic overnight. So this graph is illustrating how knowledge graph is a very powerful signal, and how Google's using it to like create a more diverse signals when they're modeling an ideal client, essentially. And so here's the other interesting thing though. So this next graph, so this is our map ranking. So we went from position 100 to position 1 over the same period of time on maps. However, after helpful content update, we did not lose those rankings. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we got into knowledge graph and we stayed in. And it means helpful content update is meant to defend against knowledge graph attacks. And that knowledge graph attack worked through high authority links internal on the website. Dallas Kelso is asking, have you found the search engine proven keyword clusters for each of the pages you publish and interlinked? Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if we proved the keyword clusters. We optimized the content for clusters based upon search engine research. So I mean, that was what we were shooting for. Judging by our results, we accomplished it. I think if that makes sense. Does that answer your question, Dallas? But yeah, that was our goal. That was our strategy. Yes, to create content clusters based upon. Okay, cool. All right. So now we're at helpful content update. 2022, and basically what's gone on is Google's used these machine learning models to better understand what's going on the internet, and now all of a sudden they're using these helpful content updates to protect against the cost of processing all these pages that now can be generated for nothing. So Google tried to solve links with content. They got mobbed on content, tried to solve with helpful content update. And so this is the timeline. Now from then till now, what you're seeing is on the helpful content update in September of 2023. And I have a theory about how they identify these sites. And my theory is they found any sites with large amounts of content where the subject matter entities had more authority than the brand. So if you think about like an affiliate site, the affiliate site doesn't give a crap about their brand at the same level that New York Times does. So New York Times, very well established as a brand. It's mentioned everywhere. It's a huge piece of the subject matter on the newspaper as well as the newspaper. And so or if you think about a brand like Crocs, Crocs website is all about Crocs. It's all about the Crocs shoe. It's a product. It's related to a brand called Crocs who manufactures shoes. And so the brand entity authority is super, super high compared to the subject matter authority. And so what Google was looking for is similar to the way that they went after helpful content in the first update by finding pages where that page didn't have authority of its own, meaning it wasn't linked to by other pages that had traffic. It didn't have prominence on the site. It didn't exist for any reason except for Google to see it. It had no relevancy to the site except to create a relationship with other content, which is targeting knowledge graph. So they did it on the site level before on the page level, and determined at the page level if a website's pages were focused on subject matter, and if that subject matter was useful, which basically just means is that subject matter a piece of a composite of different subjects that a person is searching for, and do those composite pieces on their own get traffic? So does a page on one of these topics, does it get traffic? Does it have a low bounce rate? Is that page itself high quality? And so they actually came up with some enhancements that were probably pretty good for actually training SEOs to be better web developers. If you think about like some of the outcomes, and I actually think that helpful content update accomplished that in some ways. Now, if you zoom forward to the next helpful content update, it is completely different because it has nothing to do with improving the content that you serve on the site. It has to do with the cost of Google to process with machine learning all of these sites. And what they're doing, because to date, no one has recovered from one of the helpful content update penalties that I know of for an affiliate site or a content site. They are permanently penalized. They lost 80-90% of their traffic, and the general consensus is they are never coming back, and they never will. Why? Google is attempting to increase the risk for investing in content. Why? So that they have to process less of it. Their goal is to undermine the confidence investing in using Google search as a business by creating content for them to consume. That's it. They're going after it, and they're basically, and you're probably going to see more of this as time goes on. You're going to see Google move more and more towards safer bets, and so you could probably expect they're going to move further and further towards older brands. They're going to become less responsive. The quality of their research results are going to go down. The responsiveness is going to go down because the other option is too costly for them. So what they're going to try to do is optimize for the places where they have to be more responsive, and other places, if you're not already ranking, it's going to be harder and harder to rank, most likely. And that is probably what the future is going to look like. So that was the first part of my presentation, is basically just on that. That's the weather report for Google. Google is absolutely screwed. They are AI has ruined the type of internet that Google was scraping for the last 20 years, and it will never come back. So that's, all of us in SEO. The bad news is we have no idea what Google's going to do to succeed, and all of us are dependent on them for success. So that's kind of the story of the day from my perspective. All right. So next, so what is working right now? Based on all that, I was talking about it a little bit as we got onto the call. What's working today, and so this is so funny. The people who are the best off today in SEO in general are people who work with SEOs that work with brands, or SEOs that work with local businesses, whose foundation has been in the old school of white hat SEO. And Google has managed to use a combination of signals really, really effectively, where previously, like you could rank on links alone. You could have a business, you could have a profitable agency on just links in the past. 3 years ago, it was no problem. You could have a profitable agency on links alone, and it was getting harder, but it still was completely possible to do. They didn't even have to be good links; they just had to be done skillfully. So with the recent updates, so like let's use an example. Actually, I can show you guys. So let me show you an example of a campaign and what happened. I'm just showing you how they're protecting themselves. Okay, so this is I had a guy hit me up and ask me for some help, and it was an experiment I did, and it happened right as there was an update on Google Maps. And so this is right after the August update last year. So how many people do we have here that are actually doing like local SEO? Do we have some people? Just because I want to make sure this is good for you guys. Okay, great. All right, well, we got some people. All right. So for local SEOs, so last July, Google started testing some changes on maps. They started in July, and they released it on August 1st. That was the same day they did the review sweeps. So what they had already been testing, and I already knew this would happen, is they were doing A/B tests. So the way the A/B tests look on Google Maps is you'll get a result that's up here at position 5, and then you get then you show up down at position like 15 or 16. And the A/B test, this is when you're doing CTR. Now, this is what they're doing, is they're actually testing traffic to see if you're scamming them. And so what they do is they'll as the traffic increases, they know the average traffic over time, and as you start to see that traffic jump suddenly, or if you get brand new keywords that have never been searched before, or you get too much traffic on a single keyword, Google will start A/B testing those searches. And how they do that is they put it high and then they put it low at the same time. And so they actually released this update. They did two things at exactly the same time. The first thing they did is they wiped millions of reviews. And this, in my opinion, was a direct shot at lead gen agencies. Lead gens at the time were using fake reviews extensively. So Google had already figured out a way to identify fake reviews. They had probably already targeted them all. They already knew how many they were going to do. Reviews were a huge ranking factor. So what they did is on August 1st, they wiped millions of reviews. At the same time, they implemented a new penalty system on traffic. So these two signals were what you could use to rank any listing against almost anybody, no matter how competitive. You could do fake reviews and you could do CTR, and those two together worked awesome in combination. And this is kind of part of this whole story of combination signals and trust factors. So if you're sending CTR, reviews were a trust factor. And so you were able to send tons of traffic if you got enough reviews, because Google expected lots of traffic to go along with reviews. Well, at this point in time, we did not have our system managing that. So what you see here is us losing A/B tests. So these low positions here, these are A/B tests. So what Google's doing is they're putting the listing into a low ranking, and they're checking to see if it gets clicked, because if it does, that's a bot. We clicked that. Our bot clicked that. Our bot clicked that. Our bot clicked that. And you see the average drop immediately. This is how Google what was responding to that. So what you had is you had thousands upon thousands upon thousands of lead gen listings that had their reviews wiped, and then their rankings dropped. As soon as their rankings dropped, that CTR traffic became an instant signal, and it buried them. So you saw lead gens get thousands of listings wiped out overnight, and it happened starting in the beginning of August. Now back to what's working right now, and then I'll kind of show how we responded to this stuff. So right now, so I'll give you an example on Google Maps, because that's what I do more than anything else. Right now on Google Maps, the top ranking factors are: number one is proximity. It's always going to be proximity. It will always be proximity. Number one's always going to be proximity. You don't want a business for Japan showing up in Denver. It has no relevance. So number one is proximity. Number two is business title. Now business title has to do with a lot of things. So the biggest one has to do with how Google identifies brand. So if you have, if you're doing and this has been for a long time, this is why micro branding works. I've got a case study I can share with everybody. Here, let me get the link for it. I'll share a case study. This is how we ranked a business in 8 weeks for 20 terms. And part of this case study is kind of cheaty because it sounds really, really hot and awesome. But the reality is one of the biggest reasons that this case study worked. I'm going to paste this link into the chat now so you guys can view that case study. So what we did with this case study is we did content clusters, we did citations, we did all these different things. But the first thing that we did is we did an exact match business name. So the reason that business title works is because of a couple reasons. One, oh shit! All right, 404. Share copy link. Will that really not work? Should be working. All right. I grabbed the wrong. Yep. All right, there you go. Try that. That should work. All right. So the reason of this, the reason that we start with exact match business name is because how Google looks at brand is basically there's an unlimited amount of links you can send to brand. And this is one of the things that's really, really important right now. If you got clients, I don't know if you're doing SEO, if you've been doing a ton of link building to internal pages and content clusters and the ranking just isn't going up, what I would highly recommend right now is that you do more brand building, do high authority links on brand to your root domain, increase the domain diversity for brand, do more citations on brand. And the reason being is that Google's leaning harder on brand as a trust factor. So everything that I'm talking about today, all about the signal is about trust. Now, if you have too much subject matter authority and too little brand authority, you will get penalized. So like I said, number one, proximity. Number two, business title. Then the third, fourth, and fifth are all reviews, CTR, and knowledge graph. And so when I say knowledge graph, starting in the December 2021 update, you started to see website snippets on Google businesses. That's when they were actually taking the content from the Google business and they were taking the relevancy and the subject matter, they're piping it in to the Google business. And that's when Knowledge Graph first became a ranking factor on Google Maps. Before that, it was citations and reviews, traffic, and like all of your on-page optimization stuff and some other stuff, engagement, CTR. But Knowledge Graph became a big ranking factor. When they implemented the August 1st update last year, they also turned up the Knowledge Graph signal dramatically. So this is when they started taking like all of your website signals for like your, and this has to do with like local business schema. This has to do with all of your internal links or your content on your like location page. Your H2s on your location page are huge. They're a very big ranking factor on Google Maps. Just your H2s on a location page associated with a Google Maps listing. Huge ranking factor. So what they're looking at with Knowledge Graph is, again, it's knowledge-based trust. So it's like, what does this business do in this place? What do they know about? And then also, how does it solve the set of other criteria that Google already knows somebody's interested in when they search for a roof? So how well are you solving the selection of materials questions? How well are you solving licensing and insurance questions? If these things are coming up and people are looking for it, and you have content that is relevant to that, and especially if those pages are getting traffic and that traffic isn't bouncing, all of those are factors that are increasing the trust. So you look at your click-through rate on those pages, you look at the schema on the website and how it deals with local business. All of this is a composite, is one signal, and that signal is about as important as reviews or CTR in my opinion right now. So that's kind of what's changed. So going back to our success and what we worked on. When it comes to CTR itself, because it's such a big signal, this is like Google's really trying to protect it. And so again, this is where we were kind of we were not doing well right here. I already knew how we were going to fix it. It's actually one of my biggest professional failures is during this period of time from August 1st until we implemented our fix, which is October 23rd. In that period of time, I should have been telling people more of what was going on. I was trying to fix it and solve it, and I wasn't talking to my customers the way that I should have. And people just lost trust in me straight up. Like I lost a lot of reputation during that period of time. And I should have just been a lot more transparent about the changes that had happened so that people understood. So I was able to get the rankings back up here. And how I did that is I changed some of my keywords and I dropped the traffic so that I wasn't sending so many like outlier signals. Basically what you want to do with everything that you're doing, if you're manipulating, you don't want an outlier. You don't want 100 reviews in a day. You don't want all of your traffic to be on one single keyword. You don't want anything like that. And so what I did is I simplified my keywords. I dropped my traffic and the rankings actually went up for a while, but then they started A/B testing more aggressively. You actually start seeing us losing A/B tests at a faster and faster rate leading up to when we implemented our change. You see the rankings tank. So they turned up the A/B test penalties in October pretty dramatically. And I saw this a lot of places. On October 23rd, we actually implemented our systems. And so what we were doing now is we're basically detecting A/B tests. And so starting right here, we're actually passing all these A/B tests. So at this point, we're passing all the A/B tests. And then in December, we implemented rate limiting, where we'll also drop the amount of traffic we send based upon the average rank of a result. So if the rank is really, really low, we'll rate limit the amount of traffic we send. And then and that's all basically just to avoid sending outlier signals. So at that point, the software starts working a lot better. We implemented also setting search through ProList and Places, which are two of Google's views. If you do a Google guaranteed search, where then it'll show up with businesses. And this is the pro. Oh no, that one didn't do it. Denver Painting Company. Yeah, so if it shows Google guaranteed, then typically this shows the pro list view. And this was a new view that they implemented last year that integrates with their Google guaranteed listings because they're different listing type. So we implemented CTR on this that November as well. So that we're doing click through here as well, which just has to do with signal diversity. So anyways, implementing those two things ended up working. So on this listing, just with CTR alone, we actually get knowledge panel through because of CTR. We also engage on this because again, this is like a trust signal. Like if Google's showing this knowledge panel on a term, you want to create engagement on this just to establish that people actually like this versus finding something else on this page. So by sending CTR to this google.com and converting on knowledge panel, we're able to improve that as well. So that's how we fixed those things. So basically, right now, if you're gonna do CTR, like this, I'll share this with you guys. You can use it if you do CTR with another platform. I don't care. This is what I recommend now because it's all about not creating a signal that Google can detect. So these days, we get all of our keywords from the GPP dashboard. So, you go to google.com, if you're logged into a manager account, you look up the Google business, and then you have the performance metrics that show up with your little control panel for the Google business that shows up in the google.com search window at the top when you find your business name. And what you're doing is you're going to your performance data and you're finding you're going to your performance data to find impressions on your Google Maps. So if you're working with Joe's Plumbing, you're going to go to their Google business dashboard. You're going to find keywords from that. So what you want to do is you want to send branded traffic, and think about it like this. If somebody is willing to find a business at position 12 for a plumber, they should also that means they're looking for a specific business. So if they're looking for that specific business at position 12, they should also be looking for that business by searching for brand. And so you'll see a lot of campaigns fail because people aren't running brand searches. So you want to find brand search, but you want to get brand searches from the GPP dashboard because those are impressions of other real users. And so you're blending in with other real traffic. Like the name of the game, again, don't do any outliers. You want to blend in. So this is how you make sure you blend in with brand traffic, get it from the GPP dashboard, find out what other people are searching, how other people are typing those brand searches in. Then you add money keywords. I'm saying do 2 to 4 brand keywords, 2 to 4 money keywords. You can actually split this up different ways. You definitely want to have at least a few brand terms in there, but you could do a few more money terms than that. But the idea would be that a sizable percentage of the search is brand, and we actually have a new version of the software that allows you to kind of allocate these differently. Right now in the software, we're actually working on an update. We're hopefully releasing this weekend. I'll show you guys what that looks like, but all that you get to choose is how many clicks per day and then which keywords you are, and then we kind of randomly go through these. So you don't get to select how many searches to do on each type of term right now, and that is about to change. But for now, the way that I do it is, I'll do brand terms, then I pick some money terms, so that these are split up, somewhat evenly, or you could maybe do you could do 25 or 30% branded terms to 75% or 80% money terms. The next thing to make sure of is you add keywords. So if you're doing CTR for a client and they hired you to rank you for Dentist NYC, and they already rank #1 for cosmetic dentistry NYC, you actually want to send traffic to those high impression searches that are already ranked highly, even if your customer doesn't care. The reason being is, again, this is about sending a natural signal. If somebody's getting more traffic, if their brand is getting more popular, they should be getting the most additional searches on what they're already popular for. So you don't want to just pick your target term that you're trying to rank from 15 to 1. You want to pick other terms as well, and you want to blend in with those. The next thing is you want to start slowly. Google uses so some other ways that Google detects outlier is your average traffic over time. So for instance, they know what your average daily traffic is, and so if you get many multiples of that, it could be an outlier signal, and they'll start A/B testing, like I was showing before. And although in our software we pass those A/B tests, if you're running other CTR, you might not pass those A/B tests, which will push your rankings down. If you're not sending a whole lot of traffic and you get A/B tested, you just on balance, you'll still be fine as long as you're getting traffic to other terms, because on average, you're getting a lot of natural looking clicks. So it's when you start sending more and more traffic, those A/B tests can be more harmful. So you start your campaign slowly. In our software, we do, I recommend that you do ProList or Google.com map path searches and map searches, just because of the diversity of different signal types. One of them goes through maps, one of them goes through Google.com. So if you're building campaigns in other CTR engines, find different ways to interact with the business through different types of searches. And the idea is, again, you just want it's what looks more natural. If your brand is getting more popular, you should be getting more searches on google.com as well. So that's something to try to even out. If the business is a location-based business, in our software, I recommend doing some driving directions requests with these three to 5 a day. If it's a business that people are actually visiting, if it's a roofing company, you can do a little bit of driving directions, but keep it very minimal because nobody goes to a roofing company, and it's going to be very obviously a big signal. The last part is your search grid should be realistic. You know, if you're only have if your company is only in the top 10 within 3 miles, you don't want to do a 6-mile grid where most of the searches are going to show up where they're ranking position 40. You want the grid to be inside of an area where most of the searches are more realistic to be getting a click through. So in general, if you have other search grids like Local Falcon or whatever else, where you're sending traffic should be an area where you're already ranking okay. Now, I have people that rank from position 80 to position 10 all the time, especially in like lower competition stuff. But we're going to rate limit it dramatically, and sometimes you're going to get results a lot faster if you do a smaller grid where you're ranking higher. And so it's just kind of it's like you're deciding between if you want to send a really big distance signal to Google, and if you do, you have to send it slowly, or if you want to send a lot of big volume signal to Google. And if you do, you can go quicker, but you have to pick a more concentrated area. That's again, it's just what's going to look the most natural to Google. So let me take a pause there and check questions. Negative SEOs attacks could be nasty, attacking, and easily deployable. You guys want to see something? 1 second. Let me let me find something. I have in fact run some experiments on this, and negative SEO on Google Maps is insanely easy right now. It is absolutely it is honestly, I've never had negative SEO be more possible. I ran a test on it. I did fix them. I did fix these guys. But let me I need to get this so they can. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. So we implemented our rate limiting and A/B test remediation in October, and I was kind of curious if that was working. And so this was a business that I brought his rankings back. This is a business that I did a test for. It was a guy in a mall. I ran 3 months of rankings. I ranked him, and he was getting a ton of additional business. And he told me that it was because his kid started doing TikTok. So I kept running the campaign just to like test. I turned stuff off, and I was just kind of waiting and seeing to see what happened. So anyway, what I did is I turned off our rate limiting protection. I turned off our A/B test remediation, and I turned his traffic up to 100. And I started the test on December 8th, and his listing completely disappeared from search for 4 days, 3 days. And then he came back 40 positions lower. So at this point, I was like, whoa, that's horrible. I actually turned it off, and he stayed there. He stayed there, and then in March, I was like, wow, like, I mean, like, I would, honestly, I want to show people this experiment, and this is horrible. So I turned this offer back on with A/B test remediation and rate limiting, and he almost immediately came back up. So I was the bad guy and the good guy there. But essentially, yeah, if you send large amounts of traffic that looks unrealistic to low positions, it is dramatically paying the bill on Google Maps. So anyway. So
the word could start getting out, Ian, that you don't fuck with the CTR guys. Don't make them upset. Don't poke the bear.
I have never had anybody do a chargeback. But I don't know if that's because that's why, but I've never had anybody do a chargeback. I just for the record though, I do give refunds if people are in bad shape, or if they really haven't had good luck with the software. I try to give excellent customer service. I prefer to have everybody like me. So last thing I'm going to show you guys is what we're doing to get ahead of some of these detection methods, like how we're doing it with our software. Again, you can apply this to any CTR platform you want to use. This is how we're solving this problem. So let me find, this is our new release that we have been promising for quite a while. Joseph Ving in here can attest for the fact that I keep saying that we're going to release it. We are going to release it soon. It is actually coming out soon. So here, this is our so like a lot of the things that I'm talking about is like outlier events. It's like creating natural traffic patterns. So with our software, like one of the ways that we're resolving this is, you can add long tail keywords. So on this one, I'm at copy 5 keywords and go to playground and say please give me 50 or 20 long tail keywords based upon the following in a list with no numbering or punctuation for easy copying. Oh, we don't have our commas. Oh, that's a bug. Now I gotta fix all this. All right. Let's get it done. All right, so I can take a bunch of keywords. Oops, that's this done. So, for instance, long tail traffic is important. So we can add long tail keywords, and then I can select where I want that to be. I can select how much traffic I'm gonna send. And then I can go down here and I can select I want to do 4 long tail searches a day. And it'll randomly go through this list and just search 4 of them, or I can do 2 of them. So why? Because if I'm increasing traffic to a listing, I want to increase long tail. What's something else that you want to do? Well, you really want for your brand. This is not a client of mine. This is just some random guy that I ran some tests on. So so I take my brand searches, and what you want to do with your brand search is you actually want to create a very large map, and you actually want to do like higher volume. You want to do like a high volume of branded searches in a very, very large area. So that's how you solve, that's how you like create like the impression that your brand has a large presence. And then on your money keywords that are more competitive, you're gonna do a smaller, more focused map. And then you might for your Los Angeles searches, you might do all of this Los Angeles area. You might do your Los Angeles terms, Los Angeles journey, do your best. And now you do for this one, I would do like my high volume keywords, and then I do like a lot of traffic on those because these are going to be very, very high volume searches. These are very, very low volume searches. And the next thing that you can do is you create a custom category for Monterey Park. And then you do in Monterey Park, you do a new map. We're going to do searches just in this area. So previously, if you wanted to do localized searches with our software, you're doing them all in the same area. So now what you can do is you can actually do your localized searches. Best personal park, and you can do that and drip out just a couple searches a day there. Oop, didn't save it. Oh, we got a bug. We're very close to releasing. Oh, there it is. There we go. So then you can do a couple searches there. So this is kind of how we're solving this. Like again, it's about outliers. It's about creating natural impressions. So the things that we're doing is, again, we're doing large branded maps. We're doing targeted money keyword maps. We're doing more traffic on higher volume keywords, and we're keeping our like area-based searches in those areas. So this is, there's a lot of ways to solve these problems. But this is how we're trying to solve these problems. Google's getting better and better at picking up these signals. This is the future, is that we're going to have to continue to do a better combination of these different signals, better compositing of our strategies, and the people who do the best job of compositing basically a trustworthy looking signal are going to be the ones that work well. Joseph says, so if we are getting tested, I have AA2, should we dial back clicks even though it's a low amount of clicks? They rank 10 or less on heat maps. You know, it really depends. If you're getting A/B tested, like I get A/B tested on campaigns all the time. It depends on it depends on whether or not you're willing to wait for it to come up. In general, yeah, dialing back clicks is the thing to do if you get aggressive A/B testing, especially if you see your rankings dropping some, dial back for sure. Option B is over time, Google starts to trust that traffic more and more. The longer a campaign runs, the bigger the impact that CTR traffic has. So as data gets into their model, and I can actually show you. This is how it used to work. I'm going to show you what used to happen. You used to be able to brute force their model. Nowadays, with the way they're doing stuff, it's you're going to get filtered so aggressively on the A/B testing that you can't do this anymore. But for this one, you know, I actually ran 40 clicks a day. And what you saw is, so this is month 1. We're in March of 2023. They were like position 60. See month 2. So what happens is, even though I'm getting these A/B tests, I ran a ton of branded search. Those branded searches were all at very high rankings, and they didn't get A/B tested. So I was still getting searches into the model. And this actually is another thing that changed on August 1st. Google used to average your search distributions across all of your search terms, and Google started looking at your distribution, your click distributions on a per term basis starting August 1st. So this strategy wouldn't work anymore. I was able to do this just by doing a ton of branded search at the same time that I did these other searches. And so what happened is, in month 1, my month over month traffic was like dramatically changed. Like this list was probably getting 100 searches a month, and I was adding like 30 or 40 a day. So I went straight to 900 searches, or 900 searches a month from probably 100. So it was like a 9x. So they A/B tested the crap out of this. But what you saw is, this is how they used to do it. Every month when they would show the new keywords, they would also recalculate your average traffic. And so by sending all that branded traffic, I was able to increase their average traffic numbers, and I was able to get to where Google stopped A/B testing them in the 3rd month. You see this just right at the next month. So this is 2 months of data, and then all of a sudden everything shot up, and they ranked for everything. So I mean, what I'm showing here, Joseph, is if you can get data into the model, then it actually improves how they respond to the traffic. So if you're getting A/B tested, you can actually get some traffic into the model, even though you're getting A/B tested, and your rankings will still go up over time. But where that limit is to where they A/B test you so much that you're actually getting less traffic into the model is hard to say. So you can actually send too much traffic to where they filter so much traffic that the model actually takes less traffic, and you actually do worse over time. So if you're on the right side of that and you're getting enough traffic into the model, then those A/B tests could eventually go away. So I would say, Joseph, since you're in the software, try doing some more of the customizations and adding like the long tail traffic once we get the new release out, and that actually might fix it, or doing the larger branded map. Both of those things I've seen work really, really well. So those are definitely things to try. Dallas says, slick looking SaaS. So if we were wanting to run traffic for locations in Australia, are you using an ISP, 4G, 5G in Australia? I'm using Graham's data in Australia. Thank you, Graham. So right now, we're not using, so UULE. So are you spoofing traffic using UULE? We spoof traffic using Geo on maps. We spoof traffic using UULE on Google.com. We use global we use global data. Our data is all around the world. My Australia campaigns are doing really well. I've got guys doing really well in Australia, Tasmania. I've got people in New Zealand. Their campaigns are all performing really well. The name of the game is just about like the rest of the signals that you're doing, but it is it is working really well. Probably in the future, I'm going to start defaulting to more closer proxies. right now I'm defaulting to a higher diversity of locations. So, you know, you more than likely in the future, Dallas asked, could you let us bring our own proxies? Um, I could do that. I can let you add your own proxies. It's kind of a pain in the ass if your proxies go down, then you're gonna stop getting CTRs. So I could do that, but the problem is I don't have a way of notifying you like automatically that your proxies are down right now. So it could be a little bit riskier, but what potentially if you wanted to talk about that, Dallas, I could build you a custom proxy tier where we use your proxies and some other proxies in case it does go down. Yeah, well, I have a way of doing that where we could mix your proxies in. Yes, I could do that if you wanted to. It's a bit of a pain, but I'd be willing to test it if you wanted to test that. The only problem is I'm going to be in Europe starting on Monday. So, yeah, so David would have to watch your proxies to make sure they're working. I'd be willing to try it as a test. Yeah. What effects? All right, Graham asks, what effect does proxy quality have? Um, some douchebag is supplying the same proxies to 10 different buyers. Have you noticed any issues? So it doesn't matter with mobile proxies for the most part because of CGNAT. CGNAT provides enough cover. I think I know who you're talking about. CGNAT gives enough cover that you don't like get like penalized. You get penalized on some proxies for sure. We had some really negative results with running IPv6. We had some really negative results with like storm proxies. The biggest problem is if you're running super high search volumes, it actually is the bigger problem is diversity. So your IP diversity. So we had 40 of our Denver proxies go down, and we had to buy proxies from other cities, and our result average dropped by 1, which is really good. So that means we went from an average rank across 180,000 results of 5.2 or something to 4.2. So just by increasing the diversity of sources, rankings got better. So if you're sending a huge amount of traffic, especially this is where you see the biggest result, you need more diversity. If you're sending, that might not be the case in Australia because it's a more homogenous area, so you might see it be different. But at least in the United States, you're better off having a lot of different cities if you're doing high traffic, and you'll get worse results with fewer signals. So I would say if you want to get better results, and you're doing like proxies, you might trade some proxies with some friends. You know, if you got some friends with proxies in different places, you know, if you could trade a few of those so that you got proxies in 5 different cities rather than one, I can almost guarantee it'll work better. Yeah. Yep. Any more questions?
You're going to be very excited when Proxitize rolls out the grid system.
Yeah, when is it coming?
Dude, the new they're setting up a one-click proxy for phones. So I went on the beta of that. It's really simple, man. Like log into your Proxitize dashboard, scan the QR code with your phone, like you download the app from the App Store, which is coming. Scan the QR code and bang, the proxy appears in your dashboard. So that quick. It's a game changer. And what they're doing at the moment is, I believe that they're paying people in America, like grandmothers, $200 a month to install a kit. So
really?
that's kind of how they're trying to roll out their diversity, state by state. So they're trying to build the grid off that.
Can they call me because I would definitely buy?
Oh, I know you will. I see you popping up everywhere. Hey man, you got any proxies over here?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
Hey man, you got any
Yeah.
meth?
Yeah. You know that Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all got any proxies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Can I borrow your grandma's phone? I just want to put a QR code.
So Dallas actually had a great idea. You can make a donation pool for proxies for people that are willing to share for all users. That actually would work really well. I mean, I might mention that to my users because that it would actually work really well. The more diversity that you have in terms of like, so I know for sure diversity works because it just like makes it like if Google, in general, Google avoids avoid signals that are just indeterminate. So like, let's say like, okay, yeah, you should get most of your traffic from data, but all like sorts of different sources in Denver. Well, if instead you're getting it from 8 different cities, but it's really, really spread out, they're not penalizing that. They're really just penalizing it if they're all like one very specific thing, or you're getting too many transmissions on one single IP.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dallas, that's a really great idea. Which by the way, Dallas, if you want to try the software, like I was saying, and actually anybody here that wants to set up the software, I'll make you a great deal. I'm trying to hit a sales goal. I've got 3 hours and 54 minutes. So you can email me or message me on Facebook. My email, I'll put it in chat, is Eean@agencyassassin.com. If you want to try the software, I will make you a hell of a deal. You just got to sign up in the next few hours. And if you don't in the next few hours, I'll still hook you up for being one of Graham's people. I'll give you a really good price. For anybody that's like in this chat, if you sign up with me, I'll give you my my price that I offer at conferences, which is 20% off. But if you message me in the next few hours and you sign up, I'll do something a little better than that even. So yeah, awesome. Any more questions?
That's about it, dude. I'll
Cool.
I'll try and do my best about the grid system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's going to be a game changer, man.
well, if they got anything that I could buy, I'd be happy. Did everybody get use out of this? Was this good for everybody?
Dude, it was freaking awesome, man. Like, seriously. Yeah, very, very good presentation, man. Like, yeah, I got a lot out of it.
Cool. Good. All right, awesome. Yeah, if anybody feel free, the other thing you can do, family.com/agency assassin. Yeah. Anybody that wants to get a demo, my calendar unfortunately is pretty jacked right now because I'm taking my kid to Europe, and so right now you're gonna be booking in July. If you want to get a hold of me sooner, just email me. And it like really, I try to help out anybody I can. If you just have questions about whatever, hit me up. I'm always happy to do a call with anybody. And Graham, you're amazing. Thank you for letting me speak to your community. I appreciate it very much.
Always, dude, always. I mean, there's not too many people around with your level of understanding of this topic. So it's incredible to get an insight, man, into what really goes on. Because I mean, you've got the data, dude, right? And this is what you do. So it's a very specialized, hyper focused niche. And bro, there's a lot of things I've learned from this call, man. Let me tell you.
Awesome. No, that makes me really happy.
You're a good teacher, man. You're a good teacher.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. I'm really glad to hear that.
Well, I'm going to give you another plug. I'm going to upload this.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you another plug in the groups as well. So hopefully there's some more stuff will come in and people will watch it.
Thanks, man, for everything.
Too easy, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time, man. Really do.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks, Graham.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate your time, man.
Have a good weekend.
You too, brother. Bye.